Hello, this is Jeff from Studio 41 Gaming, and I am here today to start the Pokemon Marathon. That's right. As you know, Nintendo has declared this the year of Pokemon. We've already gotten Pokken released. We already had Pokemon month last February 26th, so I decided I'm doing my own Pokemon Marathon. One of my favorite franchises Pokemon is, so I had to do something for it. So we're going to be starting this video off. We're going to be doing Gen 1. So let's go back to where it all began. I got my Super Game Boy attachment out for my Super NES, so I can even do, I'm going to do a little bit of footage off of Red, my own copy of Red. As you know, I did an entire playthrough of Fire Red, so I'm going to probably use that for most of the footage, but sit back and let's do this.
Now, Pokemon was originally created by Satoshi Tajiri and launched as Pokemon Red and Green in Japan in 1995, with Pokemon Blue coming out later as a special edition. When coming to America and elsewhere, we got the Pokemon Red and Blue, which are based off of Japan's Blue version of the game. The only difference is the Pokemon that can be caught in each version. Also, while Pokemon's tagline is "Gotta catch 'em all," your primary main objective in the games is actually to beat all 8 gym leaders and eventually the Elite Four and Champion. Catching them all is just simply for bragging rights, and I've never actually done it in any game. The closest I've come is Pokemon Emerald, where I was missing just 13 Pokemon for the Hoenn Dex and 30 for the National Dex. The gym leaders you will face in the first generation are Brock, who uses the Rock type, Misty, who uses the Water type, Lieutenant Surge, who uses the Electric type, and has spawned way too many Pokemon War creepypastas, Erica, who uses the Grass type, Sabrina, who is way different from her show counterpart and uses the Arceus Forsaken Psychic type, Koga, a ninja who uses the Poison type, Blaine, who is on an island you have to surf to and winds up being a cakewalk using the Fire type, and Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket, who also uses the easy to freaking smart ground type. Team Rocket in Gen 1 is an evil crime syndicate that is notorious for stealing and killing Pokemon. Even the police has problems with them. That means nothing, as you are the 11-year-old who takes them down in the span of just a few hours. Now, these games are definitely light on story. While Rocket is a threat in the game, I really feel the show actually does a much better job of putting them over as bad guys. I mean, for Arceus' sake, you get into the freaking Silph Co building because the guard falls asleep, and you get into the game room hideout because the guard tells you exactly where the secret button is. Perhaps the best storytelling, though, is with your rival. Technically, yes, his name is Gary, but you can name him whatever you want, mainly because Professor Oak forgets his name. Yeah, what a grandpa he is. But, I mean, even with Gary, you notice that he loses his Raticate, and that's why he's actually visiting Lavender Town, so there's actually a little bit of development in that he might have actually lost his Raticate. Speaking of Oak, though, he's also the one you get your first Pokemon from, and this also determines how hard you will stomp everyone at the beginning of the game. If you pick Charmander, while you get my favorite Pokemon of all, Charizard, in the end, at the beginning of the game you will have to level up a Butterfree if you want to beat Brock and Misty. If you pick Squirtle, you just basically wrecked Brock and have a decent shot at Misty. And if you pick Bulbasaur, you used to make the first 2 gym leaders a total non-issue. If you're playing Yellow, you basically have to get a Butterfree to beat Brock, but then you made Misty pretty easy. Too bad about Pikachu, though. You can't evolve him in Yellow, which can make later matchups a real pain. Don't judge me. I like Pikachu as much as anyone, but stat-wise, he sucks. Arguably the biggest criticism lobbed at Gen 1, though, is Pokemon design. While many of these Pokemon are people's favorites, the overall design, you have to admit, is a bit, lacking. I mean, you have badass ones like Charizard, but at the same time, you also have a pile of sludge, a Pokeball possessed by a Haunter, a bigger Pokeball, and a floating head with arms. And while we're at it, let's take a look at that Psychic type. In Gen 1, you could roll with a team of 6 Kadabras, and I guarantee you would barely ever be challenged. This is because the special type in Gen 1 is what we now know as Special Defense and Special Attack. The Psychic types in the original 3 had huge special stats, which made them near impossible to beat. Psychic types also only have 2 weaknesses in Gen 1. The Ghost type, which also happens to be weak to Psychic in Gen 1, mind you, and the Bug type, which is just flat out bad in Gen 1. Types play a huge role in Pokemon, obviously, and if you want to get anything done, you have to understand them. It's easy though. Fire is weak to water, water is weak to electric, electric is weak to ground, and so on and so forth. It's really easy to understand. Then in Pokemon Red and Blue, you had some sprite issues. Some of these things were just flat out ugly or incorrect. Koffing is actually upside down, well, his eyes and skull and crossbones as. Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff look freaking possessed, and Ammonite looks like he's just busting a move. This is fixed in yellow though, thankfully, where sprites are fully colored and actually look really amazing for being 8-bit. If there's one thing I can gush about in Gen 1, it's the music. This is one of the best OSTs I think you can hear in gaming, and it came out on a Game Boy game. The overall graphics also are very good for these games. It really did a great job making every location unique and memorable. And as you may notice on the Super Game Boy, if you play this game on a Game Boy Color, the palette actually swaps with each city or route you're on.
So as a whole, if we're talking pure gameplay, technical aspects, the original 3 Gen 1 games, you have to admit, they were the first ones. They started the entire Pokemon Mania and everything, but they haven't aged too well. They're a bit archaic, if you want to put it. If you're going to play Gen 1, this is where you do it. Fire Red and Leaf Green are phenomenal remakes, and they definitely should be owned by anyone who is a Pokemon fan. If you want to play Gen 1, definitely you can pick these up, but word of warning, the batteries they weren't made to last super long, so you're going to want to be careful if you want one of these cartridges. Luckily, I got this off Amazon, and the person I bought it from said they replaced the battery themselves, so I got a pretty good deal on this, I think. But definitely, I would say get them on the 3DS. Red, blue, and yellow. They have wireless trading. You're not going to have to worry about a battery croaking on you. Definitely the best way to play the original 3 if you want to see where it all began. Otherwise, Fire Red and Leaf Green, they basically fixed everything from Gen 1 that could be classified as being a problem. And definitely, I think, is the definitive way until probably an inevitable 3D remake. God help our souls if that happens. But thanks for watching, and I will do a short, not very short, but I'm going to talk about my history of Pokemon here. So if you want to stick around and see that, thanks for taking an interest. Otherwise, thanks for watching the review, and we'll see you with Generation 2. So if I haven't scared you away yet, as promised, I'm going to speak about why I love Pokemon and why I feel I had a bit of a revelation back during Pokemon weekend. I think it was February 26th was Pokemon Day, if I remember correctly. Now, I got into Pokemon back in, I think it was 99 or 2000. And I was introduced to it by my 2 cousins, who it's pretty ironic. My parents were hard against video games. And yeah, here we are now. I have a YouTube channel about them now. And about more consoles than I should probably own. But my 2 cousins, they had every time I went over there for like birthdays and whatnot, we always played Crash Bandicoot, Pokemon, Mario Kart 64, and one or two other that I think might be slipping my mind. But the two that stuck with me, without a doubt, Crash Bandicoot and Pokemon. Pokemon was mind-blowing to me, just because I loved animals, and for Pokemon, it was basically like, to me, it was like pretty much having your own pets, and you could go on and try and be the best at what you're trying to do. But Pokemon, to me, became just, it was amazing. It was like the greatest thing I've ever seen. I didn't get into the games until Gen 3. I got a Game Boy Advance, and I got Pokemon Ruby. I think it was the day Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire came out. And I quickly got Pokemon Gold right after that, because I knew it was the older ones, it was the past ones. I think those were what my cousins played for a long while, so I wanted Pokemon Gold also. But I got Pokemon Ruby, and it was like the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was as amazing as I ever could have wished for it to be. And I've unfortunately no longer own, actually, Pokemon Ruby, or I got Sapphire also. I got Emerald if it wasn't the first game I pre-ordered, it was the second. I had Pokemon Leaf Green was the first game I pre-ordered. But it was amazing for me. I think it was helped a lot by the anime. Because that was what I couldn't play the game, so I watched the anime. And I still own I have some of the games or episodes on tape. I think I have like these tapes. I'll try and dig them out, but I think I had like 12 episodes on 3 tapes, and I watched those things religiously when the show wasn't on. I got up every morning before school and watched 7 a.m. Pokemon. I don't know if it was the new episodes that were just replayed from yesterday or what, but it was basically my morning ritual in grade school, was to watch Pokemon, the show, and I also had cards. I still have all of my cards. I lost my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I have no idea where they went, but I still have all of my Pokemon cards, and ridiculous amount of cards. I think last time I counted, I had well over 1,000, and it was just, for me, because I think I was on the age scale. I was on the low age scale end of Pokemon back for when Pokemon Mania was going on, and I bought into it. I just bought into it hard, and some people came off that Pokemon high. I like to think that I'm still freaking living it. I religiously buy every Pokemon game that comes out. I just bought Pokken when that came out last Friday, and it was. I actually haven't even played it yet, but it's Pokemon. I eat it up. I have the Pikachu N64. I got a year or two ago. I've got the Pikachu 3DS. It's actually downstairs here. I'll grab the box. I have the box for it still. It's downstairs. I don't feel like grabbing it. Here's the box. Box for the Pikachu 3DS. It's Pokemon. Like I said, I kind of fell off of Pokemon. I think it was due to Black and White. I had some serious doubts about those games at first. X and Y, if you really felt like not a betrayal, but the way that they put in Mega Evolutions was so badly done. And I really do not like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Mainly because my first entry into the franchise was Gen 3, and I was pumped to hear about they were finally doing the Hoenn remakes, and just the way it was done is just not good. While I don't, and like I said, I actually had that revelation back last month during Pokemon Weekend, and that was one of the coolest weekends I have ever seen in video games. To have like Twitch watches Pokemon, to play some of the episodes I've actually never even seen. I don't know if those were Pokemon Origins or what, but that was really cool. And with all the news that came out that weekend, and with the release of Red, Blue, and Yellow on the 3DS shop, that was one of the most amazing experiences I have ever seen with a video game. And it just reminded me that Pokemon, it's more than the new games. Basically everything from Gen 1 up through 2010, I would say, is pretty much timeless. It's Pokemon. You don't have to enjoy the new games. The old games are freaking fantastic, and I can sit down and I can play through any of those games anytime and never get tired of them. So, if you stayed and watched this whole thing and listened to me ramble, God love you. I hope I can meet you in real life. But thank you for watching, and we'll be on to Gen 2 soon enough.